And it's like going from dial phones to iPhones overnight.
Right.
Even though it's taken us 2 years to build the system, it's still a cultural shock. Every day there's things coming up.
We didn't think of that.
I mean, we must have, I mean, it's and we had to adjust the warehouse systems, so the barcoding and errors as far as the communication from the cutting machine, which cuts out workers, 30,000 cuts a part.
No, well, not to say business. Just keep your customers.
You know, they violate every day, but one of the emergencies. Something like that. Or, always change it and do something where you get more financial stable.
Trying to figure out
I mean, you don't do installations.
how kids doing?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anxious for Halloween?
Yeah, actually, I just picked out this in a costume this year. But he's super stoked about it.
What's he gonna be?
Tin Man.
Nice.
We're not gonna go as Wizard of Oz, so I can go around and cook my meals. There's no place like home.
These bikes are weird. It seems like they're hot, and they're not for your voice.
Okay.
So if you're not doing that, you won't be heard. It is really good. We didn't get the grant.
Is there a camera? Is there a Facebook Live?
There is.
Oh, okay.
Right there, yeah. How is this mic? Okay, good?
Sounds great.
All right. So you guys try not to put your elbows on the table. The table is hotter than, yeah. We don't have a, put it in the budget maybe for CIP next year. Hello everybody, welcome to the Bailey Library. My name is Richard Fortin. I've been the library director here since 2010. I want to thank the Winthrop Public Library Foundation, the League of Women Voters, who sent me this wonderful, overqualified volunteer to accompany with the audience questions. The forum was organized by a very small committee consisting of myself, Mike Levy, our adult services librarian in the back, Michael Stanley. He's also serving as the timekeeper for the event. This is your candidate forum for the election that's happening on Tuesday, November 4th. I want to talk a little bit about that for just a second. I think one of the hallmarks of a successful democracy is a robust civil society. Civil society is all of you here tonight. It enables citizens to have a voice in their government. We're hosting this event here at the library because the public library, to us, is one of the strongest indicators of a healthy civil society. Democracies depend on citizens who educate themselves, make informed decisions, and we're happy and we're proud to play a role in that process. Before we begin, please silence your cell phones. If you don't know how to do that, there's a reference librarian in the back of the room. We will not judge you if you need assistance, but we will judge you if your phone goes off in the middle of the event. We do have restrooms down the hall on the left. The key is on the water fountain outside the bathroom door. Just leave it there for the next person. Tonight's format, audience questions will be taken in writing during the second half of the program. So you've got some paper and clipboards up here. I see a lot of you already jotted some down. If a question comes to you during the event, it's not really an interactive event, so don't raise your hand or blurt it out. Just come up here and jot it down and quietly hand it to Mr. Levy. So what's going to happen is we're going to have opening and closing statements from each candidate, and then a series of questions from myself that the committee developed based on some community feedback that we heard, and then followed by the audience questions that Mike has up here. I do want to emphasize that it's not a debate, so we're not looking for rebuttals. Candidates are not asking each other questions directly and things like that. So we drew names out of a hat for the order of where they're sitting and the order that they'll go in. So let me just introduce. We got Bruce Burns here. We've got Jim Steele, and we've got Shannon McDonald. That is the order that we're going to go for the opening statement. So each candidate has 2 minutes. We ask that you be respectful of that time. Michael's in the back. If you need a little bit of a reminder that you're starting to get close, he will remind you. So, Bruce, you are up first.
Well, thank you, Richard. First, I'd like to thank you, Richard, Mike Levy, Michael Stanley, for putting together this candidate forum. Additionally, I'd like to thank you, the taxpayers of Winthrop, for attending this forum. The Bailey Public Library is a valuable resource for all of us to enjoy, and the program served that you serve as a library is a credit not only to the Winthrop residents, but the surrounding Lakes region. We, as current and prospective members of Town Council, must always protect this valuable community resource. The learning is the key to understanding, and knowledge is the building of this key component to creative thinking, not only for older citizens, but providing the keys of knowledge for our children and the families to utilize in the community. Council has and hopefully continues to recognize and support the critical resources for our community, building better citizens through knowledge contained herein. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Jim?
Yes, James Steele, or Jim Steele. You could probably mention ballots to be James Steele, but as you see, I didn't really prepare an opening statement. Sat down, tried to write a few things down, and then I got thinking. He says, I'm going to come up here and be me. I'm going to come up here and just talk to you folks, folks that may know me or know me in town. I've been here my whole life. My family has. I love this town. I really think it's important that we keep growing and keep giving back. And I never thought I'd be sitting here. And I found myself here about 3.5 years ago. And I said, geez, this is interesting. And I've enjoyed it. And I really think I am contributing to the community, and I want to continue to do that. So I'm pleased that you guys have had this, so people who don't know me have a chance to come up here and ask questions and see me in person if they don't come to a meeting, and find out what I'm all about. So thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Shannon?
Thank you, Richard. So first and foremost, I do want to thank everybody for attending either tonight in person or through Facebook Live, or even if you're watching it on the YouTube channel later. I appreciate that, and I'm very grateful for you participating. It's really inspiring to see the increasing number of people in our community that want to come out and participate, either online or in boards and committees and commissions, and are invested in our community. When I first joined the council about 3 years ago, there was some concern about transparency in our decisions. There was concern about the communication and lack thereof between the town and the residents, and then also accountability, fiscal accountability. And so when I joined the council, I made it my prerogative to increase our community engagement and share that communication with the town. So I created a Facebook group and to share information with our community. And shortly after, we had a new town manager come aboard, and I became the vice chair of the town council. And in that time, he and I sat down and discussed the importance of creating a social media presence and utilizing our town's alert system. So I believe that he and our municipal staff have really run with that, and I would hope to see that. I think that they've done a fantastic job in advertising for upcoming elections, job openings, scheduled road work and maintenance, public hearings and meetings for boards, commissions, committees, and so much more. I'm hopeful now that most residents can sit there and say that they have opted into the text alerts and are able to go online and see their Facebook posts and invitations for meetings or other events, or can go to our YouTube channel. So again, I just want to thank you all for joining us tonight, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you. Before I ask the first question, we're going to go in the opposite order, so we'll go right back to you first, Shannon. So the first question we have is, what are the most important challenges facing Winthrop today? And, so it's a two-part question, what can be done to help address those challenges?
All right, Richard. So I believe that we currently are facing a lot of uncertainty. We have a weakening economy. And so I feel that if we could sit there and support and incentivize policies that enable housing development and focusing on the senior community, then I think that we could open up more housing for
on the council and talk about how we're going to handle that when the evaluation does go up, we can really narrow down the mill rate so it kind of levels out so people aren't taxed out of their homes. I think we also need to look at, and I think we've done a good job, making sure we keep on our budget. As we had a new town manager, I think we have done a decent job now, but in my fourth budget cycle, we were actually pulling up some real numbers of what we're doing and what we're spending. So it's important that I think we keep doing that. But I think we need to make sure that we can keep folks that live in this town and grew up in this town and have raised their families in this town stay in this town. So that's what I really like to say.
Thanks, Jim. So the same question to you, Bruce. What are the most important challenges facing Winthrop today, and what can be done to help?
I think taxes, property taxes, reassessments that are coming up. I think those are very important issues that we all should be concerned of, regardless of age. More affordable housing, how that's accomplished, I have no idea. But we also need to attract more businesses to help defray that tax burden. And that can be done very easily. We have some committees that are looking into it. I served, this would have been my third term if I had won the election 11 months ago. So it's a lot of the issues that we had faced previously in those 2 terms that I served are still there. But the looming assessment is of a concern. I've heard from many of you. Some of the road conditions in my own neighborhood are deplorable. Penwood Avenue, you almost need a four-wheel vehicle to get down it now. So those are things within our infrastructure that should be a top priority, because those are concerns of all of us as taxpayers, to have easy access into our properties and some of the deplorable conditions that exist on the road systems that we have today. It's a very expensive endeavor, I understand. Council has done a great job in working together as a unified form of government here for us all. I was privy to the lack of communication previously when I first started as a town councilor. I mean, the town council was in the dark, and it changed dramatically in my second term with James and Shannon as well. That's what we need to focus on, and I think that's very important. I've also thrown out the idea that, you know, with the excess revenue that we've generated, that we apply that to some form of tax relief within our committees. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. So for the next question, we'll be right back to you, Bruce.
Certainly.
So what do you all see as the most important functions of municipal government? And are there areas of Winthrop Town government that should be reduced or eliminated, and others that should be strengthened or expanded? Starting with you, Bruce.
I think that the fat has been trimmed from the bone as far as personnel issues within the town. I can't see where it would be a viable condition to cut any more out of the people that work within the town structure. It's oftentimes overlooked. I don't think there's a Band-Aid for it, because as costs continue to rise, people need to make a living. And if you want to make a career here in the town of Winthrop, you need to make a living wage. And I think that's very important, that nobody that works for the town should have to live in a substandard level of living. And I'd like to see that implemented so that we have more people that are willing to get involved within our government, and also on any types of committees. It's very important for all of us to participate. It's our civic responsibility to participate in our town government, because everybody has a voice here.
Thanks. I'm going to repeat the question. We have a number of people on the live stream as well. I want to remind you guys, what do you see as the most important functions of municipal government? Are there any areas of Winthrop Town government that should be reduced or eliminated? And are there any areas that could be strengthened or expanded? And that's to you, Jim.
I think what I find is all services, I kind of jotted down some notes here, we need to maintain and keep all the services we have today, and keep growing them as we can. As far as to, I think every department you need to be looked at, whether we add or subtract, needs to be evaluated. I mean, whether, you know, does it need this, or are we overstaffed here, or are we understaffed there? I think we continue to be looking at that. It's important. I think the services that we have here, I think a lot of people moved to this town. I mean, they stayed in this town due to the services we have for the schools, you know, the libraries, the transfer station's great. We have a nice fire department, beautiful police department. So we have a lot of nice services today. The Public Works does a great job in maintaining it. I know we've been fell behind a little bit, I think, to no fault of anybody, but I think for like the roads, to Bruce's point, but we do need to get these things back in order, and I think it's important. Whether we ramp up for staffing or we have to subtract, but we, as council members, we need to be fiscally responsible and understand what our community needs. I think when we did join, we added a couple people over my term here. We added a couple staff members at the town hall, and we needed to hire a GA assistant, which we've done that. That's been super helpful as we've grown. But I think it's very important that we continue to make sure that the folks have what they need. And I think right now we're a good community. If you look around, Other towns don't have what we have, and I think that's important. I think it makes us stronger, and people want to come here because we have such nice things.
So I'm going to repeat the question again. There are people kind of jumping on and off the live stream. But so, what do you see as the most important functions of municipal government? Are there areas of Winthrop Town government that should be reduced or eliminated? And are there areas that could be strengthened or expanded? Shannon.
I'm just going to have to laugh for a minute because I always feel like James sees my notes and then says exactly what I was about to write down. So I've just written down evaluation. When we talk about our town government, we're looking at making sure that the town provides services and managing the cost of those services to growing in a financially fiscal and effective way. But it's important every year that we participate in a very thorough budget system, budget process. And so that would be the evaluation portion. We get wonderful briefs from each of our department heads that come in and go through line by line our budget, and we discuss what is prioritized and what they're cutting or what needs to be increased. And that's going to vary from year to year. I think right now with the current economy and the challenges that we have discussed, I mean, as far as the tax implications, high cost of living, we may start seeing more increase in general assistance requests. In the last year, our general assistance nearly doubled. And so I think that it's important that we have that. I had heard something, a proposal for a community tax relief fund. However, we currently have systems in place, such as general assistance, and we have poverty abatements. We have different needs. And so if you were to create a community fund, then you would be pulling from those capital assets that you'd be looking at retaining, and then who would be administering that? So there's additional costs in creating some kind of community tax relief fund, and that has to be considered when you're moving forward. I think that it's important to focus on the safety of our residents. So our police department, our fire department, emergency medical services, we have incredible departments right now, and I think that it's important to support those departments. And then I think that it's also important to support our town manager, who oversees that fiscal responsibility of those departments and working with the town in that budget.
So the next question builds off of that a little bit, and we'll stick with you, Shannon, to answer first. So with the town's budget pressures in mind, how can we continue to provide those high-quality town services that you're talking about, and also the high-quality school services that we have in Winthrop, while keeping the tax rate in check? Shannon.
I think it's very important that our school board and our superintendent works very closely as a team with the select board and the town manager and our finance director. When we start talking about the budgeting, it's important that we have clear communication. And so being able to identify our strengths and weaknesses, both across the school and our municipality, and balance those out, and then being adaptable to the current environment and looking, like I said, as far as balancing those priorities year to year. They're going to change, and that's something that we have to prepare for.
So Jim, same question to you. With the town's budget pressures in mind, how can we continue to provide high-quality town and school services while keeping the tax rate in check?
I think what I've found through my budgets, going through budget cycles, as I said before, what I've noticed largely is having a real number. Having that real number has been very important, and I think I'm going to kind of give kudos to Anthony, because I've worked with him pretty closely, and we've talked a few times over this whole thing, because it's important that we have a right budgeted number. I think when I first started from past administration, we didn't. They kind of just threw a number out there and see if it stuck, and then we just went with it. And over the few cycles that we had, we've wound up with a surplus, which is great. And I think Bruce alluded to that. We'd like to use that somewhere. As I'm seeing, as we're getting those surpluses, and we're going to be able to put those towards some emergency funds for different things that we need to purchase, for maybe a new fire truck, or a new ambulance, or we're going to buy a new police car, or a new plow truck, versus trying to borrow money and pay on that. But we can put some funds away for that, salted away, it kind of takes that down. So I think, for me, it's getting that real number. For the school, I know we went through our challenges last year. I just always wanted a real number. I don't mind spending the money if it's a real number and it's what we need. You know, that's what the community needs, and then we need to do that. The taxes, I know at the reevaluation, hopefully, like I said, was going to happen, but we've got to look at the mill rate, and we have probably a very high mill rate compared to some of our surrounding communities, and we need to have it be, flattened a little bit so we don't put the burden on that. But I think moving forward, we do have a good handle in the last 2 budget cycles. We do have a good handle on what we need to spend. So I don't say we're going too crazy, but I think we're getting a better handle on it since I first started. I feel like we were all over the map, it seemed, and taxes were increasing the last, 7 or 8 years. I kept going up, 7, 8, 9%. So, thanks.
Same question to you, Bruce. With the town's budget pressures in mind, how can we continue to provide high-quality town and school services while keeping the tax rate in check?
As far as keeping the tax rates in check, I think one of the things that could be implemented quite easily is a program between the school and the town on major purchases that are pending, whether it's fuel or infrastructure improvements. We had the high efficiency lighting that was put in all the schools and the municipal buildings. We got a deferral in the elementary school during my term for sprinkler systems in the elementary school. A lot of the infrastructure that we have is aging, and I think if we combine our efforts and don't remain completely autonomous from the school, we can save a lot of money if we combine our purchasing powers. That, in fact, will allow us to make better deals on products and services that we require as a town, and also to help prevent overtaxation of our citizenry. I mean, our school budget has gone up 14% in 2 years. So, I mean, that's a pretty profound jump.
So the next question, we're shifting gears quite a bit. When we were gathering some input from the community about some of the questions to ask, this came up a few times. Winthrop adopted a new comprehensive plan, as you all know, last year, and the implementation committee is now tracking its progress. Thank you, Steve, back there. What priorities do you think the town should focus on in the medium and long term as it relates to this plan? And we're going to go right back to you, Bruce.
I'm not completely sold on the comprehensive plan. I think it needs to be analyzed from a very critical aspect. I don't think that we're provided with a lot of the information with regards to the comprehensive plan and how it will affect the taxpayers of our community.
So Jim, same question. Winthrop adopted a comprehensive plan in 2024. The implementation committee is tracking its progress. What priorities do you think the town should focus on in the medium and long term?
What I learned about the comprehensive plan is a roadmap, a playbook, kind of how we lay it out, is what we'd like to see for the future for our community. There was a committee that put it together, went through with it, and we all voted on it and approved it. There's various pieces. There's some open space planning I thought was important. I mean, I think we talked about that. And I really like the trail systems because I think that enhances the community a lot. It's the downtown revitalization. What can we do to bring businesses in? What can we do with this aging mill that we have here? I mean, we have some businesses in there, but it's not really taking up and bringing that much to town. I'd like to make it downtown what it used to be, when I was a kid. It probably never would get there, but, look at more businesses that come to town. I mean, we also need to look at a big piece of it, and I know it's another question, is affordable homes. Whether we convert the mill into that, but I think at one point, this will be part of my another question when we talk about it, but is in behind Audette's. Barry Corral came to one meeting one time and proposed, and he would really like to have put in some affordable homes back there. And I think part of it, for me, is maybe our codes or the planning board needs to look at what can we allow it, because his space wasn't big enough for what we would allow for our codes in town. But maybe we need to change that so we can have people live in town, because that's a great spot. It's near Hannaford. It's near the Walgreens. It's near Audette's for people who don't want to drive somewhere and want to be able to go walk. They can walk into town still a little bit, but still have all of the services they have there. So I think that comprehensive plan. I think we have a committee that's guiding it now. I think we just sit back and watch them and see how they do it. It doesn't mean we're necessarily going to hit every piece on it. Like you said, it's just a lot of wants. So thank you.
Shannon, Winthrop adopted a comprehensive plan in 2024. There's an implementation committee that is tracking its progress. What priorities do you think the town should focus on in the medium and long term?
So I am a huge supporter of the comprehensive plan. I actually sat in on some of those committee meetings, and it's actually what got me invested in the community and running for the town council. A lot of time was put into it, and I do thank those committee members and the implementation committee for now carrying it out and kind of taking that charge and running with it. So we recently talked about this on the council, excuse me. So on the council, we sat down and we started discussing our long-term and short-term goals. And I'm a huge SMART goals advocate too. So when we start looking at that, I look at the long-term goals. In it, there's a chapter on housing, and in there, there's one of the strategies is achieving a 10% new residential development. And that might not seem achievable, but with strong codes enforcement and incentives for development, I think that that's something that's possible in the long term. In the short term, I think it's important to consider options that promote and encourage the development of senior housing. And then it's also important that we work with the Augusta Utilities District, the Winthrop Utilities District and the Greater Augusta Utilities District to develop a master plan for expansion of our sewer service. So that way we can sit there and start looking at our zoning overlays and focusing on residential development and what areas in town are good for that. And so that's what I think would be good for both long and short term. Long and short term goals.
So the last question that I have before we get to the audience is pretty weighty in terms of answering in 2 minutes, which I do understand. But when we were engaging with the community a little bit and preparing for this, it came up a lot. So we'll have to ask it. So we're going to start with you, Shannon. Affordable housing remains a pressing issue across the country, but it's also something that is a major issue here in Winthrop. What policies or initiatives do you think the town could pursue or should pursue to improve housing affordability in our community?
So I've mentioned this a couple times. I think that housing is extremely important, and I think that we need to incentivize and support development of our aging and elderly population. James just talked about a development that was proposed, and so we met with some of the other community members and comprehensive plan members to discuss the overlay of our town and what our districts look like, and then as well as our planning department. And so I think if we can sit there and start looking at our policies, and so like, for example, the LD 2003 updates, we just implemented those. That was a state initiative, but policies like that or legislation like that is something that we need to do at the town level as well when we write our ordinances and we do these overlays for the town. Also, with that, I just want to touch on the redistribution of the taxes, tax increment, So I'll come back to that, but that's it.
I'm sure the tip will come up in the audience. Yeah. Jim, same question to you. Affordable housing remains a pressing issue across the country, across the state, pretty much every community, but it is a big issue here in Winthrop. what policies or initiatives do you think the town should pursue or could pursue to improve affordable housing in our community?
Kind of tag along a little bit. I mean, the state has done some good stuff. We're not even capitalizing on it right now, but we have an additional dwelling units. They're starting to allow us to put an additional dwelling unit on your properties in town. So you could have an in-law or one of your children can come live with you in your homes. I'm actually taking advantage of that myself at my home right now, building a garage with an apartment and an additional dwelling unit so I can have one of my sons live there and be part of that. So I think that's a big part of it. I think Shannon hit on it, and it triggered it. It's been in my brain since I started the council, is expanding the public water and sewer. I think it's pretty important when I look at it, and my wife being part of real estate and going around and having her show homes and having the inspections done. It's amazing the septic systems that are failed in a lot of these communities, and they go unnoticed and untracked. If you could have something that has a public water and sewer that's would be probably less pollution and just a little easier to hook up. I know it comes at a cost, but those are important things to help people get off the ground and build a home and make it a little easier and a smaller footprint. So I think that's a bigger a bigger issue if we could get that, so it could make a smaller footprint so people could build a home and make it a lesser cost. But I think it's looking at the codes and making sure we can maybe reduce maybe some of the sizes, expanding our layout of maybe not a 2-acre lot, but reducing some of those sizes. But like I said, I think the state has done a decent job of helping us, guide us, especially with this additional dwelling unit. So.
Thank you, Jim. Bruce, same question to you. Affordable housing remains a pressing issue across the country and here in Winthrop. What policies or initiatives do you think the town should pursue to improve housing affordability in our community?
I don't know what kind of proactive involvement the town can have, or the taxpayers, in subsidizing affordable housing. The cost to expand the sewer and water system is incredibly expensive. The Winthrop Utilities District does not have the financial backing, nor is there any federal money available right now to fund those types of expansions. And I think the current figure was, what is it, $1 million? A mile. Yeah, $1 million a mile. So those are unbelievable costs that would be implemented directly in your water and sewer rates. That one is a real toughie. To be able to subsidize affordable housing, I think that one's a very difficult question as well from the town standpoint. You look at a mean price of a house now, you're over $350,000, $400,000. A young couple just really can't afford that. I guess that's maybe why you're building an addition, But I mean, those are the options that you have. Everything else is incredibly costly to all of us here in this room who are taxpayers in our town.
Thank you, guys. We are going to move to the second half of the program, and I'm going to hand Mike over.
Good evening, everybody. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
I'm speaking with a mask in front of me because I have a cold. So we have had a number of questions that have been submitted already. And if you have questions or something comes up, there's pieces of paper on the table. You can fill them out, hand them to me, and I'll try to field those questions as well. So here we go. The first question is about the Charter Commission. The Charter Commission has 9 members on it. Presently, as this question understands it, there are 2 town councilors on the Charter Commission. The outcome of the election might end up with 3 of the 9 being town councilors. To you candidates, what's your view of councilors serving on the Charter Commission, and what's your view of how much council participation there should be on the Charter Commission?
just any.
Yeah, so, sorry, we left off with Bruce, so Bruce, you're up.
Well, the Charter Commission has 9 members. If perchance that changed so that there's 3 members of Town Council on the Charter Commission, one of the members would really have to kind of recuse themselves. I was elected to that position on the Charter Commission by the voters here, regardless of how many voted for me. But that's something that shouldn't be allowed. And I don't think that the current councilors that are on the Charter Commission influence in any way the decisions that are made, which are very limited currently. But we'll see what happens in the future.
Jim?
I would echo what Bruce says. I don't feel as though, pending the election, I don't think, to his point, he was elected into the position. I think having three council members actively on the Charter Commission is probably not a great thing. I mean, you're making one group into the next. I think that's something that should be looked at. As far as the involvement, as far as the council involvement, there's not a lot of involvement should be from the council. I attend the meetings, but I attend the meetings as a citizen that lives in this town and raise questions as this goes on. It's something that the Charter Commission was put together so it could be looked at, reevaluated, and maybe be updated. I don't think, and I think I made this comment, and I think everybody hopefully will agree with me. Not everything has to be changed on it. People that wrote it before, pretty smart folks. It's been there for a while, but just maybe some language needs to be changed, some updates need to be done. But I don't think it should be a whole lot of town council members on it. I think at one time I think when we talked about it, we have one person on there that we appointed. The rest, Andy wound up getting voted in, which was fine. The town wanted him on there. And if Bruce was to win the election next week, I would think we would probably want to look at that. Maybe the current council would want to maybe appoint somebody else and ask somebody to step down. So that's my thoughts on it.
All right. So I agree in the sense that it's not great. However, I would encourage community members to step up and actually run for these positions. We had one person that had put in their name for the commission to go onto the ballot, and there were 5 open seats with, or what was it, 3, 2, yeah. So one appointed, and then one appointed from the council, and then I think there was so 6, 1, and something. So anyway, but
Check those numbers.
my point, yes, exactly. So my point is one person put their name into the ballot. We had 9 open seats, one of which we had appointed by the council. The remaining were open. And so what I saw after the fact was about 80 people had write-ins. And of those 80 people, a few had selected and gone out to the community and said, hey, put my name down as a write-in. So those top ones that weren't on there, they ended up getting elected into the position. And so I think that it's very important that we get more community participation, and I will continue to say that over and over again and encourage our community. We have a community of about 6,000 people that would love to see more faces participating on these boards and commissions and committees. I think that there have been a lot of open positions opening up, and again, yeah, so go ahead. I got my 10 seconds.
The next question has to do with how to keep things up to date in the town with our infrastructure. There are times when, because of money, we might say, let's fix that building next year, or let's fix that potholes in the road the following year, and we end up with deferred maintenance. And then something happens, and all of a sudden there's this huge financial task that has to be undertaken. So the question is, what's your view of the fact that in the past we've had to make decisions to defer maintenance, and how can we make that up, and what can we do to make sure that we don't run into this kind of a problem in the future?
And Shannon, we're sticking with you.
All right, very lengthy question. But I think that I can summarize that into how do we prepare for needs of the community. So in long term, I think that a capital improvements plan is imperative. And that's where our department heads really work with our town manager to prioritize and look long term. And so what I said just at our last meeting, we had a discussion with our fire chief about a new ladder truck, and that's about a $2.1 million purchase. When I first came on the council 3 years ago, our fire chief came to us and said, this is something that we're going to need in the upcoming years. And we're talking about that, and we're talking about different options for that. However, I said, thank you. I think that it's important to prioritize. And so when he came and said years ago that this is something that we're going to need to do, it's a 4-year time frame for a turnaround once you order a truck. So really what you're looking at there was a whole 7 years of planning that our fire department chief put in. And so I really appreciate that. I think that's important. And when we start looking at our capital infrastructure plan, if we can sit there and take our surplus, and that's what we're going to have at the end of each year, after we have expended what we do on our services, we'll potentially have a surplus, and it's important for the elected officials, the town council, to make those hard decisions and work with the department heads and the town manager to prioritize.
Jim, question is around deferred maintenance.
Yes. I think maintenance is important. We don't maintain things as we found. Things fall apart, and they cost us a lot more money to get caught back up. Bruce has already alluded to Penwood. My brother lives on Penwood, and thank God he does have a four-wheel drive truck. So, but all joking aside, I think a lot of things were neglected, and I can't say why they were, but I can say is moving forward is we've done a really good job that the council and even Bruce was on there. We were really trying to get this moving forward. We paved a number of roads this year. I can't remember when I first joined. I don't think we paved any. I think there was a year we didn't pave any. But we're trying to get back there. It's getting and having those needs put ahead. We have to look at what we have to prioritize. And we've done that at the meeting. We've had the department heads come to us saying, these are our needs. These are our wants, but these are our needs. And that's important. And those are real conversations, right? And those are important conversations because, like I said earlier, getting that real number. Because what do we really need? That's important. And what do we want? And then we've had some surplus money. And we should be putting things away, and we haven't done this. And I think Paul Ram came on one year, and he was shocked that we don't do anything for capital reserves. I'm like, wow, what is this thing? Capital reserves? This is amazing. Why aren't we doing that? And had we done this with capital reserves, even for the fire truck, or we put this away for a new ambulance, for a new cruiser would be important. So these surpluses money should be putting into capital reserves so we can have some money set aside so it takes less burden when we need to go purchase a need or a want.
So, Bruce, same question to you around deferred maintenance and planning at the town level.
Absolutely, that ties in with a couple things that I've already stated, but there's a terminology in town council called kicking the can. And for my first term, we kicked the can on everything because everybody was freaking out because nobody wanted to spend any money. And as a result, nothing got done. And with our current town manager, at least it's relieving to see that he's making things happen and things are getting done. It might not be in the priorities that everybody wants, but it's on the list. And there are no buckets of money to put money from this fund into that fund. Capital reserves are important. Fire trucks are bondable issues that can be paid through state grants over a long period of time through depreciation. I don't think that the taxpayer should kick the whole bill on a $2.5 million, and it's a $2.1 million purchase, but then it's the fire department, and it's necessary. All the equipment has to be new and put onto that truck in service, and that's probably another $500,000. So by the time you get all said and done, you've got a piece of apparatus that's running almost $3 million. And that is something that maybe the equipping of that product can be paid for out of surplus funds, but the actual purchase should be bonded.
The next question is, do you have any thoughts on programs that can stabilize retired citizens in Winthrop? Feels like that might be an economic question, or it might be an affordable housing question.
So Bruce, we're starting with you.
Well, the lottery is available, and that would greatly subsidize somebody had they had the chance to win it. I don't know how much, again, the town can do for that particular task, unless we form some type of a committee, and we do have a committee, but provided additional funds for tax relief for senior citizens.
Jim, same question, and just restate it briefly, please.
Sorry, I'm taking this.
You're fine.
Do you have any thoughts on programs that can stabilize retired citizens in Winthrop?
Great question. I don't know as if anything that the town can do. I know at one point the state had this discussion with Mom, and if Dad was still here, we'd have the same conversation. And the freezing of taxes for certain age groups is a really, really great initiative at the state level. I don't know why it went away. I don't believe we can do anything here in the town. I don't know legally what you can do, but I think it's important for folks that would want to stay in their homes. And you're there. I mean, you're going to collect that tax base evenly across the board for them, and people on fixed income should be able to, their tax should be frozen, and until they sell their home and move on. And once it does sell, that's when you're going to get reevaluation. You can have maybe a younger family come in there, and then you'll get that tax base back up to where it's supposed to be. But again, it goes back to what I was saying, having the folks that have grown up their families here, lived here their whole lives. I'd like to have them stay here because they've been a valuable part of this community, and we'd like to have them stay here and continue. So, but I think we need to really look at that as an important thing.
So, just to repeat the question one more time, and Shannon will answer.
Do you have any thoughts on programs that can stabilize retired citizens in Winthrop?
Tough question. So, I mean, as far as, I'm not going to mention housing again, but when I think about programs, I think about assistance, and I think about resources. And so I'm currently a town manager for the town of Wayne, and over there we have a program called Aging at Home. And we have an Aging at Home coordinator who works basically as a liaison or a facilitator for the community, for the aging at home population. And so they are the ones that can kind of point people in the right direction for resources for driving them to the hospital, for food, for any other kinds of assistance like heating assistance, and if there's any concerns with taxes or administration, they're putting together books that they can have community members invest in and read through. And I just think that that's a potential program that maybe we could look at in upcoming years.
Next question is, what can town government do for those residents who are most vulnerable to real and potential future cuts in programs like heating aid and SNAP benefits?
So Shannon, we'll stick with you.
Can you say that? You said, what can government do for residents?
Residents who are going to be affected negatively by probable cuts in SNAP, heating aid, and other federal benefits.
Again, I think that that's really important to be able to connect those community members with the resources that we have. We have a lot of great resources in our community, from the Winthrop Food Pantry to the Hot Meals Kitchen over at the St. Francis Xavier Church. We have a lot of great organizations in our town, such as Tabitha's Closet, and I mean, other resources, KB Cap, I think. But when it comes to SNAP, I think that it's important that we pull together. I know that a lot of organizations are preparing for it, and if we have the ability to put those resources out to the community so that they're aware, I think that's the best thing that we could do.
Mike, repeat the question for Jim, please.
Jim, what can town government do for those residents who are most vulnerable to cuts in federal aid, like heating aid and SNAP benefits?
Yeah, like I think Shannon probably answered it the best way as possible, but we do have general assistance and, to offer it. There's the food pantries. I think Kennebec Valley's probably got a lot of things. To her point, I think everybody's kind of preparing for it and trying to make sure they can alleviate some of the stress or the burden that's going to be taking place. But I don't think there's not one person in this community, in this town, that wouldn't extend a hand or extend something out to them. I think the town's always been available. People can come up, and like I said, we have a GA assistance person that handles that stuff every day. It's not like you're burdening them. That's what they're there for. Come on up and apply for it. And there's revenue there for this purpose. Let's just hope that it's not going to go on forever, and people can get their heads together at the federal level, and we won't have to be dealing with any of this, and that's important. But at the local, there's a lot of communities and charities out there that are preparing for this, and we can help guide them. And I think Shannon's probably had a great idea. If you guys have even that out in Wayne, I think that'd be a great idea. How put something together, a program for helping people aging, and guide them and say, hey, I didn't know about this program, because I think this communication is the biggest thing, right? I didn't know that was happening out there, but I think what we talked about, transparency and communication, it wasn't very big when I first got on here, but now it is, and I think it's important that we get the message out to folks, what's available to them, and I think it's great. So,
Bruce, same question to you.
What can town government do for those residents most vulnerable to federal funding cuts, such as heating aid and SNAP benefits?
Well, as Shannon and James stated, we have many organizations here within the town for general assistance. It's on the town level. We do have a surplus budget amount, and we could fund it to some degree through that, so the general assistance officer could distribute those to people in need. Heating oil assistance, as far as SNAP benefits and stuff like that, like we both said, both Shannon and James stated that there are food banks and areas like that for hot meals or for grocery implements that they can take that are free of charge.
Next question.
This question has to do with transparency, which has been mentioned already, and accountability. This question indicates that there have been changes and improvements in transparency of the town government and accountability in the town government. And the first part of this question is, what are your views of how that's going and what might need to be done to better it? And the second part of this question is, what's your view of how that process, accountability and transparency, what role does that have with respect to communications between town councilors, communications between the town and the staff? Two answers.
So, yeah, sticking with you, Bruce.
That would be something when my first term on council, it was like operating with a pillowcase over your head. You really didn't know what was going on. I can remember a conversation with regards to the mooring ordinance that I had with James, and I said, listen, if you really want to implement a change, why don't you run for town council? And he did, and obviously he's been on it now for quite some time, and this is his second term. He's doing a great job. There was very little transparency my first term. That changed the second term. I think the mooring committee was a big step in that regard, where town council completely dismissed any acknowledgement of it and left it to a committee, and we all swore that we would abide by whatever the committee said. And it was an independent group of people here in town. They forged out an agreement. We voted in favor of it, and that's history. It's no longer a contentious issue. We need to do the same thing with all the other programs that we have, and that's transparency. So you know what's going on. And you could also attend the meetings, which would be very helpful.
Jim, how do we get to better accountability and transparency and improve it between the council and staff?
Well, I would say when I first joined, it was much like Bruce. I was asked, hey, if I'd like to make a change, why don't I join? And here I am. So I really look at, there wasn't much. There wasn't much guidance. It was, hey, Jim, sit up here and listen in and vote in on talk about things. And really wasn't much, and Bruce knows this, there wasn't much guidance, really. They didn't, nobody really coached you up. Since I've been on that, and I go back to having some new leadership up in our town management, Anthony came on, we started having some courses, meeting the directors, going to the departments, understanding their needs, and looking at that. Shannon's created a Facebook page, which was fantastic to get that communication out. The alert system, and I didn't know that was out there until we got involved in here. I signed up for it. It's great. I understand when they're going to be paving the road, when something's going to be shut down, something's going to be open, something's going to be closed. It's a fantastic system. I think this is part of that transparency. Having this forum. I'm not a public speaker. I am not comfortable being up here talking to everybody, having this discussion and answering all these questions. But I'm here because it's being transparent. I want you guys to see me and talk to me, and I'm happy to listen to what's going on. And I will bring up your concerns to the council, to the town manager, to all the council members, and have a discussion. We can't fix everything, but we can try, and I'm willing to listen and have somebody talk to me. But I think it's gotten much, much better since when I first joined.
Shannon, how do we get to better accountability and transparency and improve it between the council and staff?
So the council and staff is a part. I think that it's really important to really communicate through the town manager. And so I think that the town staff really needs to, the doors are always open, both town manager and the council. We're always here to take input from community members, from staff. Regarding our transparency and accountability, from when I joined the council, we didn't have a Zoom, or at least a very effective one. So since I've been on the council, we've had an entirely new PA system put in, including this one down here in the library. Maybe not as good as the all-purpose room, but this is pretty wonderful, I'd say. And then we also didn't have a YouTube channel, and so now the town has put up a YouTube channel. So even residents that aren't able to participate or at home, maybe making dinner with their family right now, they will have the opportunity to watch these recordings. And I would hope that they would then participate in some other way, whether it's sending emails or, the town manager recently just started a Winthrop Talks program. So the idea is to meet with other staff around the town. Here at the library, I think he's done one. He's done one at the with the superintendent. With finances, there are going to be at different times, both during the middle of the day, in the morning, and the evening, to allow residents and staff to participate with the community.
Next question is, what are your views on the two referendum citizen petition initiatives that are on the state ballot? And second, what relevance do you think that has to your campaign for a town office?
So, Shannon, sticking with you, views on a little bit of a tough question, the citizens initiative that's on the ballot Tuesday.
So I think it's important for residents to really read both of those citizen initiatives. I'm not going to share a personal perspective on it, but I do feel that it's important that residents become informed on what they're voting on. I think that's extremely important. That's it.
What is the relevance of that issue with respect to campaigning for the town office?
Well, so when you start looking at the first question, we're looking at absentee voting and the ability for it's a very loaded question, I would say, and I would recommend that residents really dial into every one of those parts or aspects of that question to really make an informed decision. For the election portion, I mean, I'll sit there and, not for my campaign, I'm not really concerned about the outcome of that question one way or another. It won't affect how people vote for me on November 4th, but maybe in future elections, you can ask me again later. But as of November 4th, I don't think it will have any impact on my campaign.
And,
Yeah, I
sorry,
guess
Jim.
I
So
got-
same thing, views on the citizens initiatives, we have the absentee vote change and voter ID, and the second one is extreme risk protection order. Your views on that, and what is the relevance in respect to campaigning for the Winthrop Town Council?
Well, I want to go and say kind of the same thing. It's a personal choice for everybody. I think everybody should be informed on it. I mean, that's what my personal choice is. I'm not running on those questions for being on town council. You know, that's at a completely different level. You know, that's a personal choice, what you'd like, and then you can vote on it and go from there. I think they're all important. I'm glad the questions are there, and then we can vote on it, because I think that's important to have for democracy in the town. I feel like that way, that's why we put out the feelers out there, and Anthony puts the questions out there for people to look at. But it's a question that I don't know as if I want to get involved in, because I'm not campaigning on those two questions of why I'm going to get on town council, because it has no relevance how I'm going to help the town and be governing the town. So I don't know if it's really a good answer for me to just sit here and tell you how I feel, or like, this is not a political piece of it. This is really just it's town government, and whatever these thought parts, I don't think it's that important. Thanks.
Bruce, going to ask you the same question. This is an audience question. Your views on the citizens initiative that's happening on Tuesday. So just to remind everybody, question 1, absentee vote changes and voter ID. Question 2 is known as the red flag gun safety extreme risk protection order. And also, as a follow-up to that, the relevance of that in respect to campaigning for the Winthrop Town Council.
It's a state referendum. I don't think it has any impact on the town of Winthrop and the taxpayers here. This is not a political forum for any of the councilors, nor has it ever been. That's a personal choice, like it's been reiterated by Shannon and James. And we've worked together for 3 years, and prior to that, I mean, that's never come into question, anybody's political belief or how we're going to vote on something. It has no relevance to November, the election in November. Thank you.
So next question, and we're going to stick with you. Bruce, you'll answer first.
What are your ideas to bring additional businesses to town?
I think we need to solicit, and we've oftentimes spoken of the TIF at the mill. There's a lot of development that can be done there, both from an affordable housing standpoint, but also from applicable businesses that might want to take over someplace. It's been said there's been bakeries in there. I think we lost a valuable partner when Maine Medical pulled out of there. That was something that I thought was wrong, but again, that's a private business and has nothing to do with what we felt as a council at that time. But I think there's many things that can be developed, and I think if we work in conjunction with the state, we can develop some type of programs to encourage businesses to resettle back in the town of Winthrop, regardless of what it is. Any business is a good business here for the town.
Jim, ideas to bring additional businesses to town?
There's the tip is always going to be a big, it's a buzzword, right? It's the tip for the mill. I think we need to do is when we talked about this and we had a few discussions, we need to expand the TIF district so it gives the opportunity more than just the mill. There's other buildings in this town that could expand and grow from other businesses that come in and lure people. I say lure people, but I guess it's entertain people to come in here to want to do business. The vault does a nice job, but it's kind of a weekend thing, right? But those folks do a great job, and it was bustling and busy in downtown, and it's nice to see. I'd like to see that more often, in almost everyday basis. I think that it's getting the word out, and I think we have a revitalization community or a committee right now for the community, and hopefully they can come up with some decent ideas which we can support and they can bring to the council. How can we best kind of put that together? You know, I can put a plug in. I got my son's girlfriend. She's bringing a business into town. She's going to go into the crochet and cartons soon. So there's going to be a business coming into town. So that's kind of a nice thing. So you know, I think it's getting that stuff that people to come in, and it's a small business, right? To have them come try something out and encourage it. People like to come where there's we have different events in town, which is always nice. You know, farmers market. We do it the art shows and different things like that. But there's a lot of things that we need to have come to the community to bring people here to want to have more business.
Shannon, same question to ideas to bring additional businesses to town?
I'll mention a couple. I just want to explain that the TIF that these two just mentioned was for tax increment financing, and that's just something that was placed on the mill some years ago, and it's a contract that will be expiring in 2026. And so when Jim just mentioned expansion, I think that is important that we start incorporating different areas within the town. And then we also need to be more specific in how we write that contract. Additionally, in our comp plan, our comprehensive plan, one of the strategies was to coordinate with the Winthrop Lakes Region Chamber of Commerce to create a regional 5 to 10 year marketing plan. I think that that's important. We have really great businesses downtown as it is, but I don't think that we market it very well. I always am on Facebook and I see these different advertisements for different events happening around the state. I don't really see as many enticing posts for the town. So I think that marketing is extremely important. We also used to have a wonderful catalog that listed all of the businesses and all their phone numbers and hours and things. I think that needs to be updated. And additionally, there's been discussion about bringing back a farmer's market. We have a wonderful municipal lot right downtown, and we have wonderful farm stands and farmers and local farmers in this area that could contribute to a farmer's market. And then Jim also touched on the downtown revitalization. We have a committee that's currently working with those organizations, and this weekend they'll be doing a trunk or treat right down in the municipal lot. So thank you.
I'm going to cap it at 2 more questions. We're going to stick with you, Shannon, for the next one.
My 2 favorite questions are coming up.
Oh boy.
Do you support creating opportunities within the school system for students to earn community service or civics credits by attending town meetings and volunteering locally?
I do. So I think that the Winthrop schools already have a volunteer program that they have to meet certain criteria for graduation, and I think that it is important for our young youth to get involved, and I think that would be wonderful.
So, Jim, same question to you about supporting creating opportunity within the school system for students to earn their community service credits by, basically attending council meetings and volunteering for the town.
I support that 100%. I think it's super important. I guess if you look around and see, I think it's important that the young generation gets involved, comes and sees what goes on. It didn't really happen when I was younger. I wouldn't say force us to do it, but I think it's important that they come up and see how it's done and look at it. And it's it's a civic piece. I mean, you teach the civics in the schools, but have them come and watch it in production and see what's happening. It's really important. I think my eyes were wide open when we did the budget cycle. Just understanding all that and in more meetings and understanding all the discussions and the back and forth. It's important. Have them come up and ask questions. Be part of what's going on. It should be part of it. I mean, they will probably, most of them will be open their eyes to what's going on. And maybe they'll take an interest As my son, he's taking an interest in it. He's part of the council, and I think the younger generation needs to be part of that to look at it. It's us folks that are aging, we need new ideas, fresh ideas. What's going on out there? What's happening? So I think it's important. I think more involvement. I'd love to see the audience be a little fuller when we have a council meeting.
Bruce, same question to you. Your thoughts on opportunity for students at the school to earn some community service credits, attending the council meetings, and volunteering within the town?
I think that's a great idea. I would love to see that. I think every taxpayer and this group of people are wicked smart, and I think that some of those tax dollars that we're spending should go to teach civics and encourage young people to get more involved and participate in local government, which could lead to bigger and better things. You sit here as a counselor and you're perplexed by the fact that nobody shows up for town meetings, and when you have it on Zoom, we invested a tremendous amount of money on that, and there might be 2 people in the audience that are listening online. We have to get more people involved in our community. I think it's everybody's responsibility here in this room to do that, and I charge you all with that.
This is going to be the last question. I just want to let you guys know too, although it has dwindled at one point or another, we've had 87 different people logging in to watch tonight, so people are curious and interested about the vote that is happening on Tuesday.
I lost a bunch of times, that's why.
Yeah, my kids did it about 20 times. They thought it was American Idol.
You may think this question was written by Richard Fortin, but it was not. As we're sitting in our town's library, I would like to hear your thoughts on the library's role in our community, how you use the library, and what you would like to see as changes to the library and what it does.
So sticking with you, Bruce.
Okay. Well, if whoever wrote that question listened to my opening statement, I think that the Bailey Public Library is an invaluable resource for not only the town of Winthrop, but also for the Lakes region community that participates in many of the programs here. I have always supported the library with their budgetary requests. Sometimes Richard really didn't like the outcome. We had to get Dr. Snoopy, whose rates doubled during the pandemic, from $50 to $500. So we had to eliminate that because it became excessive. But this is an invaluable resource for education and also a commitment to the staff here that maintains this beautiful structure. I mean, what a privilege to sit in here in this beautiful place of knowledge and understanding and quiet. So,
Jim, views on the library and the role of the library in the community.
Having grown up here, Bailey Library was important. Back when I was a student, we didn't have the internet, so because the library was very important, so it's always been a kind of a pillar of the community. It's been here. I remember coming here as a youth. I think we brought my kids here to a lot of the programs that were happening. It's a nice meeting place. It's a informational place for people to come and chat and get information, and the programs that you offer are great. A lot of the kids come. My grandmother was a super supporter of the library. She'd come down and she'd get a book, frequently. She'd read, and she'd come down and return it and come back, and she just loved it. So I think when she passed, that was what she wanted most of her money to be donated to. So I think people, we talk to them, they think, oh, wow, we moved here because of this. They moved here because of the library. They thought it was an amazing thing. I think when we hired Anthony did his due diligence. He walked around, he said, you guys have an amazing resource here, the library. It is beautiful. And it is. It is a great place. You can host events like this. You can host other events for the small kids to get involved in. And there's a lot happening. And you got as Bruce alluded to, you get Drew, the gentleman with all the animals that come.
Dr. Snoopy.
Yeah, so they get to come and put things on. But it's a nice meeting place, especially for the younger generation that don't have anything, and it opens their eyes, because I dare say some of the kids don't probably understand with the internet. They don't understand what resources are here, and what, and it's important. So I think it's a great piece.
Just want to remind you guys, although it's been my second home for almost 16 years, I can't vote for, I don't live in Winthrop, so you don't have to. Shannon, this is the last audience question, just your views on the library and your view on the role of the library in the community.
So I love the library. I mean, I have very fond memories of it. When my sister used to work here, when the desk was across from the main door. My middle name is Bailey, and right down in the basement used to be the children's area. This is a whole new addition, and so I have very fond memories of coming to the library and my sister sending me down there and sitting in a beanbag chair and reading through children's books. And then to see how much it's grown over the years, it's wonderful. It's a priceless gem, I think. And even now, when we just moved back to Winthrop a few years ago, and I was a stay-at-home mom, so finding things for my son and I to do, I would bring him down here for Miss Jen. She has a wonderful program on Wednesdays. And so my son gets to dance around and with beanbags on his arms and listen to stories and sing and dance. And there's a lot of wonderful programs. There's Mr. Druna's Animals too. And then the library sends out this incredible newsletter to the community. I believe it's their monthly newsletter. And it's a list that goes on and on and on with so many different programs for teenagers, for adults, for aspiring writers, for anyone that wants to come and participate in a book club. And I know that they have book presentations here and discussions, and I think it's a safe place for people in our community to come and sit quietly and read. Thank you.
We're going to get you out of this building with that head swelled up.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting budget cycle. Let's go for the gusto.
Before we get to the closing statements here in just a second, I wanted to thank you guys for taking the time to share your ideas and your perspectives this evening. Thank you everybody that came, everybody that's at home listening, for participating in this exercise of civic engagement. Events like this work because you guys show up, listen, and you think critically about these choices. During the last election cycle, one of the candidates up here was separated by another by only 8 votes. I think it was 8, so that's a compelling reminder that every ballot counts, and your voice and those of you here in this room might actually shape the future of this community and be the deciding factor. So we're going to go in the opposite order as we started, which means Shannon, you're going to start off with your closing statement.
All right, well, I just want to thank everyone again for coming out tonight, and for the 87 people that are logged in online, and then for those that aren't here right now but will probably watch it later. The biggest key that I will take away from tonight was the importance of communication, not only with the council and the town manager, only with the staff, and then also but with the community and everybody involved. I think that if I could have any kind of impact over the next 3 years, that it will be on the younger generation, and then getting them involved. I mean, that was one of the questions as far as getting them involved with the council as far as volunteering, but I think we have a lot of great mentors in our community, a lot of retired teachers, just amazing in and around the community. We have 2 sitting here in the audience that I know and recognize, and so I'm thankful that you've had that impact on my life, and that these teachers here, I hope that they can continue to do that. We have the Day of Caring, and I hope that we expand and have a community day where the older population can talk with the younger population, because there's so much to learn. I feel like even now I'm still learning new things every day, just meeting and talking with different people in the community, and so I'm super grateful for that. And then if we can just implement more of those programs. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to everybody that has voted for me in the past. Thank you for everybody that will be voting for me in the future. I mean, I'm excited to maybe to serve another term of 3 years and as I said in the papers, is keep this momentum moving forward. We've implemented a lot of changes. I'm hoping to do more positive things for the future. There was some parts of it I wrote down here, but I don't remember coming back to the question. I thought maybe somebody might ask the question, but and it was how do we keep some of our services? I know we have to look maybe towards regionalizations. I mean, I think I had that conversation with him with Richard one time. This is a beautiful library. I mean, this is a hub. I mean, we could be regionalizing other libraries for other communities, and just make it that much stronger for other communities around to enjoy what we have and support them and their communities as well. That doesn't just stop there. We've already kind of done that with the police department. We've joined forces with Monmouth to kind of help that, so we can make that PD stronger and share that cost. I see that with other things that moving forward, can we continue that to maintain and keep some of the services level and make sure that they have what they need. This whole community I've grown up in, I'm from a large family. Pretty much, if you look around, I'm probably related to most everybody in town, or I know somebody in town. My dad was a school teacher for here for years. Mom worked right in town at Huffinagle, Lake Mills, Lake and Denison. I married my high school sweetheart. We've been in this community. We've had businesses in and out. This is our life. This is part of us. This is part of me. And I met a lot of great people along the way. People I didn't go to school with. Some people now that my best friends that were in school with my siblings. But we're all family, and I think it's important to realize that it's not somebody you can always turn to somebody in this community, and I've always felt that way. To Shannon's point, some of these people in this audience we've turned to and said, hey, I need some help or some guidance. What's going on? I think it's a big part of it, and I just love it, and I just feel like I said, I never would have thought myself sitting here, years ago, and raising my kids, and I did get involved in that part of it. I mean, coaching and being part of what they have in their communities. Now that they're grown and doing their thing, and I was asked to run, and here I am, and I actually I enjoy it, and I'm happy to be here, and I'll be happy to receive anybody's vote on next Tuesday, and serve another term for you folks.
Chris?
I again reiterate what James said. I think that as a group, regardless of how the vote turns out, you're getting a really good town council. And the openness that we have, the thoughts that we all shared together as a group help congeal us and make us more effective as a tool for you, the taxpayers, to utilize. I can't say anything from the standpoint, I haven't lived here all my life, but my wife, Jan Havey, her father was a lifelong resident of Winthrop, a very prolific business owner in Augusta who passed away a number of years ago. My wife has never known any other home except here in Winthrop, so it's close to 70 years. And it's a great place to live. I'd be honored to serve another term and work in conjunction with Shannon or James. We're a nice, effective unit, the band of us that we have, and we only have your best interest at heart. So I would appreciate your vote and another term as a counselor, and thank you very much for attending tonight.
Please remember to vote on Tuesday. This Tuesday, November 4th. Your participation really does matter. And just on behalf of the library, Michael, Stacy, the League of Women Voters, thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you.